everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today on how to simplify your candidate search. I'm Stephanie Eichmann. I'm manager of our global membership team here, and I'm excited to walk you through some of the ways to use Devex. So, a couple of things before we get started. One is if you have any questions throughout the presentation, please feel free to reach out to our host with any questions. Thank you so much for those of you who I've heard from beforehand, giving some examples of searches you've been trying to run. We're going to run through some of those examples today. And if you have any technical issues, we've got tech support on the line as well, and you can feel free to reach out to them. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Great. So we're looking at the Devex site now, and there's a couple of things that I want to point out as we're going through. For those of you that might not be as familiar with Devex or not quite familiar with all of the things we do, Devex, we are very broadly speaking a media platform and information provider, so many of you know us from our news and our newsletters. But what I really want to go in today is the way that we work with a lot of recruiters, specifically to help them save time when they're looking for candidates. I know that you as recruiters are very busy. You don't have a lot of time to be, spending hours culling over complicated databases, and your time is really valuable. You want to be able to quickly identify the best candidates so you can reach out to them and really grow your organization. So I want to run through today a couple of different searches from some people who have reached out to me. Of course, all of these searches have been anonymized, so if you have any searches as we're going through and you also want to ask some questions about that, let me know. I'm happy to go through that as well. So right now, we're looking at the Devex candidate database. We have profiles of over 700,000. Actually, you can see here it's over 740,000 development professionals. For those of you who haven't used Devex before for recruitment services, just to let you know, all of these people have come to Devex and created these profiles and put their information up on the site. We're not scraping profiles from anywhere else, and it's really a unique audience of people who are specifically interested in the development sector. To get started when you're running searches, the first thing that I always recommend to recruiters is to focus on this keyword search at the top. To give a little bit of background, and one of the reasons I'm really excited to be doing this presentation today is not only running through the search, but also giving you a peek under the hood on how our search algorithm works and being able to walk through some of the tricks that I've learned as working here at Devex. So the first thing I recommend when you're running a search is using this first keyword search to type in a few terms and then filtering it further using the filters on the left-hand side. So one person that I was speaking to recently, and I've had a couple of people reach out in similar roles, is looking for monitoring and evaluation experts. I know everyone's always looking for M&E experts, so what's the best way to really go about quickly identifying those types of candidates who you often need on a short-term basis? So if you come in here and type in monitoring and evaluation, you can see if I run this search, it's looking for candidates that have the keyword monitoring and evaluation in their profile. But oftentimes you want to have those keywords appear together. So we've got here monitoring and evaluation as a single keyword. One of the recommendations I have as you're doing these types of searches is to really put yourself in the mind of the candidate. You've got, some people might be putting monitoring and evaluation, but other people might just be putting M&E. So I'm going to put that as another keyword as well. The way this search works is its default is an or search, so it'll be looking for candidates that have monitoring and evaluation or M&E in their profile. The particular search that was sent to us in this case was looking for monitoring and evaluation experts with EU citizenship. If we scroll down, so we've done our basic keyword search here, we've got over 100,000 results, which is way too many for any one recruiter to cull through. So then you come in here and you use these filters a little bit more. So in this case, for citizenship, if you're looking for EU citizenship, you could go in and type all the countries, but you can also type by region. So in this case, we would want to select Europe. And then you can see we have the search results filtered down even further. Of course, for your purposes, you probably want to filter more with years of experience, but this is a good starting point in adding in some of those different search filters. So going back, another search that we received that I thought was pretty interesting, a little bit more challenging, is looking for a team lead that has experience in agriculture or agribusiness. So when you're running a search like that on Devex, there's a couple of different ways you can set it up. Again, I always recommend starting with this keyword search up here. and doing something like team lead. Again, I'm putting team lead in quotes because we're looking for those two words to appear together. And then we've got, say, agriculture. This search will be looking for candidates that have team lead or agriculture, but candidates that have both in their profile will appear at the top. As recruiters, I know you really want to be able to fine-tune your results even further, so we do accept Boolean search terms, and there's a couple of tricks we can do to really fine-tune these results more. So in this case, we want to do and, but agriculture is one of the words, but also agribusiness was another. So we could do with these quotations, right, agriculture or agribusiness to be looking for candidates that have the team lead and either agriculture or agribusiness. Another simpler way to do the search is you can actually just remove those endings and just do agri with an asterisk. This will search root terms. So you're able to see, okay, which candidates have team lead and the keyword agri with the other keyword. So it might pick up if someone just says agri-expert, it might say if someone had agriculture, agribusiness, etc. The one thing about this search that I thought was particularly interesting when I was talking to the recruiter is they were finding a lot of experts that had livestock experience, and they're saying this is really not the type of candidate that we're looking for. So in this type of search, you have team lead agriculture. You can actually also use and not, and type in the keyword livestock. So now we knocked another 100, 150 people off here. So we're looking at about 900 candidates that have team lead and agri and not livestock in their profile. So some of these ways are really good for fine-tuning and drilling into exactly the type of candidate that you're looking for. Oftentimes I'm talking to recruiters and they say, yeah, there's a couple of different keywords that I'm looking for in this case. I'm looking for a team lead. I'm looking for someone with agriculture or agribusiness experience. But honestly, the agriculture experience is what's more important to me. Team lead would be nice, but I'm most concerned with the agriculture experience. We also have a way that you can weight certain keywords. So in this case, if we use the asterisk, the caret key right here, and then say 10, we're saying that we are weighting the agriculture or agribusiness keyword as 10 times more important than the team lead keyword. So it's another thing to consider as you're going in. It's not going to change the number of results you get, but it will change the way in which they're ordered. So if you are looking at a list of, in this case, 900 candidates, and you really want the ones that have the most agriculture experience to be at the top, this can be a really useful way to be able to dive into a little bit more and really take a look at what are the top candidates for you at the top of your search results. So one last search that I want to run, and we'll start it very broad and kind of use this as a way to walk through some of the different filters that we have available on Devex. Heard from someone who's looking for health experts in Kenya. So we're going to start super broad with this one with the keyword health. And then there's a couple of ways that we can do the search from here. If you're looking for someone who is currently located in Kenya right now, that's when you would come down here and use this currently located in filter. So I'm going in here, I'm typing in currently located in Kenya, and this is looking for, as I said, people who are on the ground already there. If instead you're looking for someone, you don't care where they're located right now, but you just want them to have experience in Kenya, that's when I would actually recommend using it as a keyword up here. So instead of typing in Kenya, in the currently located in, you would use it as a keyword. So you're looking for a candidate that has health and experience in Kenya. So you can see this opens up that, that search a little bit more. You might find more candidates there. So going down here a little bit more, some of these filters I think are pretty standard, not really changing anything too much. Things like languages, citizenship, currently located in. So here maybe we want to say we need someone who has at least 7 years of work experience. And then we also have these filters down here, which I've heard from many recruiters are really helpful in that whole saving time in their day. So what these filters are these are smart filters. So instead of asking candidates to opt in and say what type of experience they have, we are tagging them as having experience with a certain donor in a certain area or with a certain job skill based on the keywords in their profile. So this is based on metadata, and we found that it really does give more accurate results results. We found in the past sometimes if you ask a candidate where they have experience or what donors they have experience, they might select nothing, they might select everything, depending on what their actual level of experience is. So for this particular case, we were looking for someone with USAID work experience and also someone that has managerial experience. So when you come down here, you can see now we've limited this, it was up at 18,000, now we're down to 2,000. So really narrowing it down, being able to identify those candidates that are really what you are looking for based on some of those filters. So when you're running a search, this is the type of person you're looking for. The way that people are appearing in the search result, and I'm going to click into Anne's profile as an example here just to show a little bit more and some of the ways you can organize yourself. So when you're running your search, you can see we've got Anne here. She just updated her profile a day ago. The way the search results work is it's based on the keywords you type in, the completeness of the profile on the candidate side, and when they last updated their profile. So if you have two candidates that have fairly similar profiles, but one's updated it more recently, they'll appear higher on the search results. And we do that because we find that candidates who are most actively looking for positions are updating their profiles a little bit more frequently. So getting those candidates who are more likely to be interested in joining your organization really at the top, really in your view when you're looking through this list. So on the profile, as we're looking through this, we've got some information about Anne, professional summary, and then you can come here and download the CV or just look at the skills and expertise. A couple of things to do from here if you're interested. One is you can add a note to the profile, which I know is really helpful as you're trying to stay coordinated. I know so often I hear from recruiters that time is lost just from miscommunication between different recruiters and really trying to make sure everyone is on the same page. So in this case, maybe we want to add a note, something like interviewed. You probably want to put a few more details in there, but something just to indicate that you've had an interaction with Anne, you thought she was a good candidate, and save that in there. It is private to you and the recruiters at your organization if you're all using the recruitment tools on Devex. So it's a way to stay coordinated and have that kind of institutional knowledge saved right here to be able to identify those candidates you're most interested in. And of course, you can always choose to send Anne a message directly if she looks like a good candidate. So going back to our search results, we walked through really the best way to, if you're looking for a very specific position, a specific role that you're trying to fill. But I know oftentimes you're going to be, and I'm going to refresh my search here, a lot of times you're going to be looking for candidates not for a particular role you have open right now. As recruiters, I know that you're always busy, but sometimes you might have a little less chaos, a little less busyness in your schedule. And in those times, you might want to be spending some effort putting together pipelines of candidates for that future need when you are in a crunch time and you need to be able to identify candidates very quickly. So Devex does have tools to really help build out a pipeline and really help facilitate that process. So going in here, I want to run a search, and I know I heard from one of the recruiters who's always looking for chief of parties in the governance sector. So what I would recommend if you're running a search like that, you've got a really specific job title you tend to be looking for. Maybe it's chief of party, maybe it's team lead. We have a filter right here where you can put that in. And I've just put in chief of party. This is people who have said that their job title is chief of party, so it would filter out anyone if they have in their resume said that they reported to a chief of party, for example. And then for keyword, we're going to type in governance. So you've got here, we've got 2,000 people in here right now, and then there's a couple of ways to go about really maintaining that pipeline. The first is looking through and identifying what are the candidates you think are interesting. So maybe we want to click on Seraphine, we want to click on Samson, Matthew, and we're going to add them to a folder. So in this case, I already have a chief of party folder selected, so I'm going to click on that, add them to my folder. So that now they're saved. There's also the ability to go up and save a search. So we're going to call this again, chief of party. You create that search, and then you can also activate the alert. So that way you run this search once, but anytime someone new joins the Devex database who is matching this chief of party job title, governance, work experience criteria, you'll get an email notification. Those emails come out once a week on Mondays and says, here's the list of people who joined Devex the week before. So not only do you get to see who's in our database right now, but you don't have to come back and run that same search week after week. We'll proactively let you know if there's that type of position you're always looking to fill. So you're able to set something like that up. The other feature of this that I think is really useful is, you've put together this pipeline, you've got candidates saved in your chief of party folder, and now you need to hire a chief of party. So you want to go in and be able to find those candidates. You can actually load those folders right here in our search results. So, for example, I'm going to come in here to our folders filter, and I'm going to search chief of party. And I actually have a couple of chief of party folders that I've created, so I'm going to select several of them. On Devex, there is no limit to the number of folders that you create, so you can create as many as you want. And you can also share folders with your colleagues. So if you have a colleague, and again, this is if you and your colleagues have recruiter access on Devex shared. But if you have a colleague who's created a robust chief of party folder and you want to bring that into your search as well, you're able to do so. So in this case, we've got some candidates that we've saved here in these folders. Of course, mine, I am not a recruiter for chief of party, so my folders aren't entirely robustly filled out, but we've got a few in here. So then you might want to go and say, okay, well, out of these chief of parties that I'm looking for, I need someone who has U.S. citizenship. So I might want to go in and say, okay, who in my folder has U.S. citizenship, and then who out of these people speaks Spanish, for example. And be able to go in and, here we've got, 4 candidates from my folder that matches those criteria. So it's a way where you can load and say, all right, out of the people I've saved, the pipeline that I've put together, now let me dig in and see who's actually in there. A couple of other features that are pretty useful. You can see pretty quickly if a candidate has a CV available. If you do ever find a candidate that does not have a CV available, there's a button right here that would say Request CV, and it sends a message to the candidate asking them to upload the CV to their profile. It doesn't identify you or your organization, so I know recruiters find that very useful if they just want to go through and request a bunch of CVs to get some additional information about the candidate without actually reaching out and committing to, putting their name on reaching out. So a useful feature as well. So that's some of the ways that recruiters proactively use Devex, build up these pipeline of candidates, even if they're not recruiting at the moment. So when they do have that opening come up, they're ready to go. So I know that I promised a 20-minute webinar, and we've just got a few more minutes left, so I do want to open it up for some questions. If anyone has any questions, do you want to send those along? So we've got one question. Is it possible to search for candidates that have CVs attached only, and how do you do that search? So that's a great question. There isn't a filter for just including candidates with CVs, but that is part of our search algorithm. So candidates that have a fully filled out profile and profiles with CVs attached will appear higher in the search results. And again, if there is a candidate that doesn't have a CV, there's just a one button click to be able to request that from them. And that's pretty obviously stated on their profile. Another question, do you have private folders or are they all shared? Right now, the way that the site is set up is that right now when you create a folder, it is shared with the colleagues. Again, this is only shared with other people at your organization who have recruiter access, so no other organizations or people can see those. So it is shared across the team. It is something we're looking into to build out a separate type of folder that can be private just to you to save your own candidates. But right now they are all shared. Question, can you type in several regions in the citizenship field? Absolutely. So let me refresh my search here. As I had done before, we had typed in, so we were doing Europe, so we typed in both Western and Eastern Europe. You can also type in several countries. So if you're saying you want someone who is a citizen of Kenya or Tanzania, you can put in several countries or several countries and regions. So very flexible there. You're able to really fine-tune the types of citizenship. That same search logic works for currently located in. So again, if you want to type in, for in this case, someone who's located in Southern Africa or located in a certain country, you're able to use that same search there too. Another question, can my colleague without recruiter access still add to my folders? No, the features that I've gone through today, just to clarify, are all features of the recruitment account. So only people that have the recruiter account are able to view folders or put candidates into them. But that's a great question. Okay. Well, I know that we are here at our 20-minute mark, and I'm true to my word that I'm not going to keep you any longer. But if you do have any other questions for me, or if you want to run through a sample search that you're running on your own, you didn't want to share with the group, let me know. Happy to do a one-on-one demonstration and run through some ways we might be able to maximize the search tools for your needs as well. Thank you again, everyone, so much for joining me, and enjoy the rest of your day.